Hello, dear friends. Today we will talk about the impact of human body fat on age-related health changes. Everyone knows that among long-lived people, the percentage of obese and overweight people is lower than in the general population. Fat is strongly associated with diseases that affect a person in old age. We can call them symptoms of old age, like diseases. If fat is one of the causes of the development of these symptoms, then dealing with it is an effective tool to prevent age-related changes in the body. I will justify why excess body fat is associated with the development of age-related pathology. I will also tell you how to check if you have excess body fat and what to do to get rid of it. You may be mistaken if you think you are at a healthy weight and are not at risk of obesity-related diseases. According to various studies, 62 to 76% of people in developed countries are overweight. Even if a person doesn't look obese on the outside, they may have a large amount of visceral fat at a healthy body weight. Look at people who go to gyms. Many men have well-developed muscles, but also have decent-sized bellies. Despite healthy body weight, the muscle mass of aged people is replaced by fatty tissue. The weight may be okay, but the body fat percentage is higher than usual. The problem of excess fat deposition also affects children. In some countries, about 50% of children have excess fat. We can talk about a real pandemic of obesity in the world. Standard body fat limits for men are between 8 to 19%, and for women between 21 and 33%. Excess body fat is linked strongly and undeniably to the development of type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, strokes, hypertension, certain cancers, kidney disease, joint destruction, sleep-disordered breathing, liver obesity, and problems during pregnancy. Obesity is also linked to the development of infertility in women and men. Fat in our body is distributed under the skin or around internal organs. Therefore, it is called subcutaneous and visceral fat. The difference in the health effects of these two types of fat is significant. The difference was observed for the first time when they compared the changes in people who had undergone liposuction and those who lost weight on their own. Removing 20% of subcutaneous fat by liposuction did nothing, while people who lost weight independently showed many positive health changes. It was concluded that the difference was because people were losing visceral fat. The harmful effect of visceral fat is that it attracts blood cells called monocytes. Monocytes in adipose tissue turn to macrophages. Macrophages are the primary signaling cells of the immune system. By interacting with cells in adipose tissue, macrophages release signaling substances. In turn, these signaling substances activate the immune system and trigger chronic inflammation processes. Also, these substances directly reduce insulin sensitivity, as a result of which insulin levels increase, leading to increased hunger. Hunger causes a person to consume more food than necessary. It leads to excess fat deposition. Excess fat again causes inflammation and further depresses insulin sensitivity. The vicious circle is closed. Chronic inflammation is also a significant health threat. It's associated with virtually every disease that develops in old age: immune decline, cancer, dementia, Parkinson's, atherosclerosis, osteoporosis, etc. It makes sense that getting rid of excess fat would allow us to reduce the intensity of chronic inflammation and decrease the risks of all the associated diseases. Chronic inflammation is one of the leading causes of age-related changes. Therefore, by reducing its intensity, we slow down aging. So, how do we know how much fat we have in our body? The body mass index is obviously not appropriate here. I will remind you that this is body mass divided by height squared. It is a highly inaccurate tool. For example, some bodybuilders with a minimum body fat percentage may have a BMI of 30, indicating obesity. At the same time, some people with flabby muscles and lots of visceral fat may have a normal BMI. Some people use scales that measure body fat percentage. This method is highly inaccurate because it is based on measuring the body's electrical resistance and is affected by the amount of water drunk, food taking, exercise, and bowel and bladder contents. Accurate methods are computed tomography, magnetic resonance imaging, and dual-energy X-ray absorptiometry. These methods are expensive and are not applicable in mass conditions, but fortunately, a solution has been found. It's a simple measurement of waist circumference. If we divide our waist circumference by height, the result will reflect our body fat content. For women, the standard ratio is between 0.42 and 0.48, and for men, it is between 0.43 and 0.52. If the figure is higher, you have an excessive amount of fat. Waist circumference should be measured on an empty stomach after bowel and bladder emptying. Naturally, you should not eat any food that causes increased gas formation. When measuring belly, you should not retract. The measuring tape should not be tightened so that it crashes into the skin, and the measurement is carried out at the navel level. There is another option for calculating body fat. You can measure the ratio of waist to hip circumference. For women, a healthy measurement is less than 0.85. For men, it is less than 0.9. Many online calculators available on the internet can show you how much the ratios are within the norm. So if you think your weight is okay, but your waist to hip or height ratio is out of the norm, you should take action to reduce your risks. I will summarize what is effective based on my personal experience. Eat only when you are hungry. Learn to distinguish between hunger and appetite. Starvation is when you are ready to eat, even what you do not like in everyday life. It is necessary to eat only unpalatable things. You will not eat more than you need. Hence the other rule, less cooking. Take better whole grain cereals. For example, oatmeal must not be in flakes. Grits or rice are best unpolished, and so on. Drink only water. Drink as much as you need. Drink all other beverages without sugar and sugar substitutes. If you want to eat, drink water first. Less food will fit into your stomach. If you're hungry, you can also go out for a jog or exercise. For a while, hunger will recede. Eat right after physical activity. Then starvation is not so pronounced, and you'll eat less. Physical activity is mandatory daily. It can be intensive walking for an hour and a half a day. Without physical activity, I guarantee that you will not succeed. Strength training should be done at least 2 or 3 times a week for all muscle groups. Particular attention should be paid to the legs, as the most powerful and larger muscles are there. Their training burns more energy and provides a higher muscle percentage in your body. Keep half of your plate always filled with salad. Eat food rich in carbohydrates only in the first half of the day. In the second half of the day, eat a minimum of carbohydrates, only vegetable salads, plant fats, and proteins. For animal proteins, favor white meat, that is, fillets of chicken breast, turkey, or fish. You can also eat egg whites. By following these simple rules, you can easily reduce body fat. It is the easiest, cheapest, and most effective investment in your health. You can healthily prolong your life and make it a better quality of life. I anticipate comments about this. Usually they are of 2 types. Why live like this if you don't eat what you want? And I don't have time for daily physical activity. The answer to such objections is simple. Whoever wants looks for opportunities. Who doesn't want is looking for a reason. If you like the possibility of getting seriously ill, spending a lot of money on treatment out of your mind, and becoming a burden to yourself and your children, no questions asked, do nothing. Obviously, the opportunity to eat exceeds your sense of self-preservation. About exercise, you can always find an hour and a half a day for simple walking. If you can't do it every day, even once a week is better than nothing. In conclusion, let me tell you a little about the studies linking excess body weight and longevity. There are paradoxical results in which people with a high BMI live longer. I assume I will be criticized for using this particular data. The belief is that the counterintuitive results of such studies are due to methodological errors in these studies and reviews. In addition, as you may have noticed from my presentation, the BMI commonly estimated in such studies does not reflect the exact body fat content. However, the research study, the participation of obesity in exceptionally high life expectancy, clearly showed that people who crossed the 100-year threshold in Italy, Japan, and Spain had a lower percentage of obesity than the general population. The study involved 81 Italian residents, 84 Spanish residents, and 467 Japanese residents. Naturally, the Japanese had the most accurate results. Only 5% were overweight, 33% had an accepted weight, and 62% of Japanese long livers were underweight. Get rid of visceral fat. Thank you for your attention. See you later. Always there for you. Dr. PopMed.